Hi, welcome to Victoria's Stars. I am your hostess, Vicktoria Schneps. Now, you know that Brooklyn is a unique borough, inhabited by the best of the best in people, place, and happenings. And we're going to be bringing those people right into your home who make this borough the greatest. So sit back and enjoy, because today we have with us the fabulous, the one and only Marty Markowitz, our esteemed and beloved borough president, and the wonderful Jamie Markowitz, who makes his life possible. I mean, let's give credit where credit is due.
Without a doubt, right, both possible and impossible.
Well, that's
right?
a true, honest wife and an honest relationship. Now, you need a bachelor for how long?
Well, I married, I was a few months shy of 55 years of age.
There you go. So, you know, this had to be somebody special. You know, in the chemistry that made it possible. What was it that happened that, oh my God, I think I can get married. I think I can meet somebody. I think I can go out with somebody.
Actually, it happened not exactly that way. I met her at the beach at Kingsborough College Beach, and I was giving out leaflets there on the beach. And
now, you were state senator then, right?
I was state senator, folks at that end of Brooklyn to enjoy our summer concerts, which are held in Coney Island for many, many years. And the beach, Kingsborough Beach, was either young moms and dads with their kids, little kids, or it was a matura, which means a 65-plus crowd. And there one day...
But not crowded.
Not crowded.
Not a crowded beach.
And there one day was a woman, obviously, between the elderly years and the youth years, somewhere in between. And I went by there, and she was... on her stomach, reading her magazines, and I looked at her face and walked around, and she'll tell me that I didn't leave her alone, but the truth is that when I had a chance to speak with her as she was leaving the beach, I never even got her name that first day, which would have been July 3rd of 1999, and I was hoping, and I told my friends on July 4th that I met a woman that I just felt something immediately. Seriously, I know it sounds crazy. I don't know if it's such a thing as love at first sight, but I think I think this came pretty close to it, except for one small problem. I didn't know her name, nor did I have her telephone number.
All right, give it to Marty.
But so that I was unhappy. But I said to myself, you know what? July 4th, I didn't go to the beach. It was a hot spell, a heat wave. So July 5th, I went back hoping she'd be there, and bingo, there she was.
So, Jamie, what about for you? I mean, this is a man. Were you in a shirt and tie?
I was in a T-shirt.
Oh,
T-shirt and shorts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on the beach. He came over. He made a little small talk. He said his name was Marty Markowitz. I said, I've never heard of you. He gave me a card. Now, I'm an artist. I wasn't really into politics. I went back to my parents' house, and I got to tell you, my mother, well, I'll find it. But she wrote on a yellow piece of paper, Marty Markowitz with a question mark, because she knew who this person was. Now, he was not their state senator. So I thought, he's making up a story. He's probably not even a senator. This is probably a fake business card. But
what did your mommy do? What did she find out?
Well, no, she found out you weren't their senator.
No, I was not their state senator.
But someone she knew had heard of you. So...
Thank goodness.
And I hope they had a good word. So
anyway,
this is just July 3rd.
Right, so July 5th, it was about 103 degrees.
It was,
I went back,
right.
She was there, and he drove me home. And of course, my parents were waiting in front of the house to see this person.
With their drinks in hand. Oh, they were waiting. Hey, listen, the truth is that Jamie had not been married either, ever.
Okay.
And while she's definitely younger than me, let's just say it wasn't me robbing the cradle, okay, is the best way to put it. So I think they were thrilled with the fact that she was bringing home a Marty Markowitz, I think, because I don't know what came before me, I'll never know. But whatever the case was, no, we decided whatever was before doesn't exist.
Right.
And anyway, so from that point on, it was only 3 weeks later we were engaged.
Wow, that was lightning struck.
What was I waiting for?
Yeah, it's right. Well, it was only 55 years, and I'm not going to ask you, Jamie, because it doesn't mean years.
What was I
But
waiting
I bet
for?
your parents, you know, it's interesting how, you know, I don't know if it's as true today, but our parents' opinion was very important to us, right?
My mother was afraid to say anything because I think she felt if she said, "Oh, we like him, we like," that would be it.
Oh, well, you one of those.
So it was killing her. Yeah.
But you really took the bull by the horn, and it just, it just seems to work very well.
There's no question. By the second date, I was implying marriage, and by the third time, and you said yes.
On the fourth time.
Right, the fourth.
Well, let's get this right. Okay, we got to
that's
get the
true.
record right.
That's true.
Because, these things that happen like this, it always, I'm in awe of what this can, after all those years that you
Yep,
just.
you're right, right, you're
And,
right.
then I hear you adopted
Right.
somebody.
Yeah, well, yes, indeed. Jamie's parents unfortunately died 3 weeks apart from each other.
Oh, my.
And
9 years ago. 9 years ago. Yeah.
they a talking bird. I guess
My
Jamie's
father's
father,
dream, right,
was to have a
a
talking
talking
bird.
parrot.
And I have to remind you that African gray parrots live a long life. If they're in good health, it's not like a cat or a dog. These birds can live 40 years easily. And he was already in his 70s when he purchased that.
My father, not the bird.
Right. Her dad. And anyway, when they passed, the bird and I did not get along. The birds, the
Well,
African
when my
gray
parents
parrots.
bird, Marty had never had pets growing up. He was petrified of this thing with a big beak.
But there was a reason for it. Jamie.
And he
would
didn't
slam
wanna
his body
visit
against
them,
the
right.
cage when I came near it.
So he
He
would
didn't like
take
the competition.
so he would take a big wooden spoon from the he would like touch the bird with this. He was petrified of this bird, this 1 pound bird.
So anyway, so the bird, they form love. They can love the husband and not the wife, or vice versa. It's the way it is.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
we're fortunate that Beep, our bird, loves us both.
Now, did you
My
rename
son.
it Beep?
No, I'll tell you the story. So they bought the parrot right before his election, and they didn't name the bird until the election. And if Marty won, they would name the bird Beep. And if Marty lost, they would name the bird Loser. Thank God
glad.
you won.
So I'm happy.
That's a true story.
Imagine a bird going through all his whole life as a loser.
Oh, my God.
But
See, it wasn't meant to be. A winner was what we had.
so after they passed away, I come home the next day or the same 2 days later or whatever, and I walk through our apartment, and all of a sudden, you get a feeling something's around you that hadn't been before.
Oh.
So I went by the cage, and I turned around, and I said, and there's a cage and a bird in it.
You did it to him. You did it to him. But I
and,
think he loves the bird more than you.
I'm in love.
They have fallen in love.
I'm in love.
And the bird, the funny thing, they're so smart. The bird knows Marty's daddy. The bird knows when his car drives up, who's Cotty? Where's daddy? See daddy, see daddy.
Amazing.
He talks like
Oh,
that?
he
does.
talks. He doesn't stop talking.
It's amazing bird.
And he still speaks in my parents' voices. The phone rings. It's my father saying hello.
Which
It's
I
fun-
know.
I mean, yeah, it's funny.
But it does bring Jamie some comfort when she hears that. Really, it does.
I didn't want to erase my father's voice on his phone message. It was almost like holding on to him. I mean, this
Right.
bird is like, I didn't realize that the tone, I mean, I knew he could speak, but you've been using the
in
voice.
exact voices.
So,
yeah.
so the summary of this story is if you're middle-aged and never had children, well, then parrots are the next best thing.
Well, this
And you don't have to walk a parrot.
Right.
They
Hooray,
make a lot
hooray.
a little messy, but you don't have to walk it.
But they keep, I mean,
Just
is it in the
vacuuming and
cage?
sweeping a lot, huh?
Is it in the cage mostly, or you let it out?
No, it doesn't. It can't. We
Beep,
clip
beep,
the
we have
we
to
clip
We
the
clip
wings,
his wings, so
which
he
is
can't
allowed.
fly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if he flew, he would really could be hurt. It's
When we first got him, he had wings, and he flew into the blinds. He would grab
can
on
hurt
with his
himself.
beak, and
It
he
can
could
really
fly
hurt
and
him.
hurt himself.
So it's better this way.
So now, okay, we're on to an adventure together. And Jamie, you know what fascinates me is that Marty is in a very high-profile world, very high-energy world. And I think, somehow the mellowness of being home to you has really helped him, succeed. And I think, how you work it out between the two of you. How do you do this high-energy work together?
Well, I was single till I was 41, but very happy being alone, right? Very happy never going out.
Couch potato.
So it's fine. He can be out all night long. He could come home. It's okay, right?
We work it out because she does demand that Sunday afternoons and evenings that I keep open for us. Saturday nights, increasingly, I put aside for the two of us together.
So what do you do
And-
on a date?
And well, you,
like date night.
you know a restaurant's going to be part of it.
Go,
I don't.
go,
I
go.
don't play golf, and I have no real hobbies, to tell you the truth. So I suppose.
Well, your work has been your hobby.
It's been my life,
In
actually.
your life, right?
And
We go see a movie, but that's rarely.
so we
Yeah.
whatever. Even if we manage just to relax, it's okay because
Take
you know
walks around the
I think
neighborhood.
anyone that works with the public a lot, they do need every now and then. They need some downtime where they're just alone. Really, I mean it. It's okay. It refreshes you, it rejuvenates you, and it's a good yin. So I've been fortunate, certainly for the 13 plus years I'm married to Jamie, that it's been a wonderful balance and soothing, and you know, there's no question that Jamie's my soulmate, and it is true. I
You
mean,
found
it's,
each other. It may have been later in
and-
life, but you know
right.
what? Maybe time.
But whether you're early bloomer or a late, or early or late bloomer, how sweet it is when it happens, and you're blessed when it happens. So I really
Yes.
feel that way.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no. I think it's. I called when my husband, when I described our relationship. I don't know how many people remember Charlotte Ruse's. Okay, were we a
course.
Charlotte Russe grow up? Right?
Of
with-
course, of
Whipped
course.
cream.
So Marty, I hate to tell you this, but I explained to Charlotte Russe to my staff. It doesn't
know.
know
They don't
who Charlotte
understand.
Russe is.
I know,
So I
I
called
know.
my husband our relationship
Forgive
like a
them.
Charlotte Russe. That my life was like the cake, you know, my friends and my family, and he was the whipped cream on my cake,
that's
on my Charlotte Russe, because he made it all sweeter. And I think that's what you have, which is so special in this world, and it really enables you to do what you do, and that's really a that could happen. And I know there's some things, you know, we're coming down to the end of your term, which is
Yes.
stupid
Yes.
that there is term
I agree with
limits.
you. I agree with you. Outrageous. 3 times the public has said term limits. Outrageous. I could say they're wrong.
You know, my dear friend is Claire Schulman, who was the borough president of Queens.
Yes.
And I think she was in office for about 16 years.
Yes.
And she put it very simply. She said, Vicki, you cannot get projects done in 8 years.
Right.
It's
I agree.
absolutely impossible. So you've had longer
But
than
I
that.
will argue that if there must be term limits, and I don't agree with that, but if there must be because the public has demanded it, then 3 terms would be much fairer because as someone who's been in office now as borough president 12 years, the fruition of the projects that I began in my first and second term are now beginning to be realized or will be realized in the later this year or in the year to come. So I do think 12 years. I do think when the mayor wanted the extension of term limits, which I fully supported, by the way, because that would allow me to run as
Right.
well, plus because I was against term limits, any extension is great. But I think we should have kept it at 3 terms rather than 2 terms. Big problem. Anyone running for any position, whether it's city council, public advocate, borough president, or mayor, but especially anything beyond mayor, that be other than positions of mayor, the first term they're working right to make sure they're reelected for a second term. The second term, they're gone. The second term, they're thinking about the next career. So therefore, the second term gets really short-shrift because if they're in it, they're thinking about a bigger district. If they're in a borough, they're thinking about other boroughs. So they're already thinking, and the folks that you have been elected to serve will place second to your ambition because you know you're on an accelerated timeline. This is a terrible mistake. That's my opinion. We'll see what the future brings.
Well, when he got the mayor got the 3rd term,
Right.
was that just a temporary thing, or was that a permanent?
No, it wasn't a
situation?
permanent thing. It was the city council enacted a change for only for 1 additional term. But they could have put it on the ballot that, and the mayor did not, where, okay, voters, you get a choice between 2 terms or 3 terms, or just put on that we will now codify the regulations and it'll be 3 terms maximum for the future. But they didn't do
Okay.
that. They reverted
Yeah.
to 2 terms, and that's a mistake.
Well, you know, you have a tremendous legacy that you're writing, and I'd love you to write a column for our home reporter and Brooklyn Spectator about why it should be 3 terms. You know, there should be a piece about that. But let's talk a little about your legacy, because you certainly are leaving a legacy. I love the story when I had asked you the question, how did you withstand the pressure when everybody was marching and picketing and yelling and screaming at you about the Barclay Center? How did you withstand the pressure? How did you make that happen and stand firm?
Well, first off, it was my idea to bring a national basketball team to Brooklyn and to build an arena. And I worked very hard to nudge and push Bruce Ratner.
Now, wait a second. I heard whispers, and you can verify or not, that there were 6 o'clock in the morning calls, 7 o'clock in the morning calls.
There
Day in
were
and day out.
whenever I can reach him.
Okay.
And he,
an
Bruce,
early bird?
I am sure that he avoided my calls because he had whatever the ID number that you could see who's calling. But after badgering him, he finally said, "Okay, enough. Let me look into it. Let me at least look into it." And that began the process.
And he wasn't a sports fan.
No, he wasn't a sportsman.
Yeah.
By the way, neither am I. My
But-
interest is seeing Brooklyn, Jersey written across for the rest of America. That's my, and the attention Brooklyn gets. And music, family, religion, and sports bring people together like nothing else.
Right.
And that's why blame it, check it off to the fact that I grew up in the Dodger era, Brooklyn Dodger era, what the Brooklyn Dodgers meant to the spirit of Brooklyn. And in the same way, in the years to come, the Brooklyn Nets will represent that spirit but updated for the 21st century. It's different than it was then. It's different because today we have so many more sports to follow as opposed to back in the day where it was really just baseball. Football was barely that great in popularity. Basketball was really just college. Not really followed by the majority, but baseball was supreme. Today, we have everything, so, and there's a lot of other things competing for time of everyone. It's different than those. But there's no question that I never expected the kind of hate that I experienced, the worst emails and letters and threats that I received from hundreds of residents, and protests by thousands. There's no question about it. And by the way, I understand where one could be, but for too many, they cannot tolerate someone disagreeing with them because they believe that their viewpoints are godly driven by Mohammed, Moses, and Jesus. They believe that they are speaking for the Lord. That's how zealotry it became. And then it became fashionable for some of the stars, movies or whatever, to become part of this anti-development of Atlantic Yards. But I knew that building an arena and the housing, removing one of the ugliest locations in the borough, which were the railroad yards. They were ugly, dividing Fort Greene, Prospect Heights, absolutely disgusting. And although in the last number of years, some of the former warehouses were converted into residential housing, and definitely improvements had already begun in that area, but the ugly and the lack of the use of this essential space because of the subways, 11 subway lines, and the Long Island Railroad, buses, hustling and bustling of the city of Brooklyn, all there, and what an arena and a team would mean to the future of Brooklyn, that was worth the emails and the threats and the lying stories in our tabloid newspapers. And I'm sorry, I have certain feelings about what journalism is today. In certain respects,
I don't take it personally. That the home
it
reporter.
is sad, in my opinion. But when you believe in a principle, and when you I was elected by the residents of Brooklyn to make things better, not to do nothing. I wasn't elected to do nothing. If you want someone to do nothing, you have plenty of choices to make. I made a pledge to Brooklyn of exactly what I was going to do. And when I ran for office, I said I'm going to work on bringing a national sports team to Brooklyn. Okay, I didn't tell them here or there. I didn't know it myself.
Right.
But the truth is, I did. And I kept my word. And I'm happy that I was able to keep my word.
Now you're like the genius.
Well,
Right?
whether I was a genius or not, but to me, and Jamie knows this, when we go to Barclays Center, and we walk in, and sometimes I see folks there that wrote me the miserable, and they don't look at me, I don't look at them, but I get it. You know what? They're buying their tickets, they're going in there, and then there are others who don't go in. Oh, I'll never go in. I'll never. I say, okay, no problem. Hey, don't. Oh, I think it's okay. All right, we'll survive. We'll be all right. So the truth of the matter is, about 2,000 jobs have been created, both full and part-time. all the economic activity of the services that go into the arena, all the restaurant and retail that is popping all around the area, the hotels that are brimming because of all the acts, whether it was Paul McCartney or Barbra Streisand or whatever acts, they're coming in from all over the country to enjoy it, and going to our restaurants or staying at our hotels, and suddenly the streets of Flatbush Avenue are alive again as they were when I was a boy.
Right.
When I was a boy, I was too young to enjoy a lot of the great things we used to have, but we used to have nightclubs on Flatbush Avenue.
How
we
about the
had
Paramount?
we had the Paramount, Fox, which were top rock and roll houses in America. So we had a lot of things, and now slowly it's not the same. But when you add what's going on Flatbush Avenue, new hotels, the new residential housing, the young professionals moving in from all over America and beyond, and the refugees from Manhattan, when you push in the tremendous college students that are here, because Brooklyn is also a college town. When you add the high tech that's recently made Brooklyn a home, when you add on, absolutely Dumbo and certainly Metro Tech, and then when you add in all the artists and the filmmakers and this creative class that has made Brooklyn home, and when you throw in the dynamic growth of our ethnic community throughout the borough, there's no question that those people, many of Brooklyn families that fled Brooklyn in the 70s and in the 60s and in the 80s, all I could say is when their kids are coming to move to Brooklyn, I don't know what else to say except it's come full circle. And it's just tremendous for the future of the borough of Brooklyn. I've done my job. That's how I feel. So I withstood the pressure because I started this train rolling, and because I believe that it would benefit the borough and it would benefit New York City, and it has already. It has already. So I don't know what my bird will think. In other words, my legacy, my bird is Beep is not exactly sure what I do for my. But there's no question that
You're doing your life.
families now and in the future, I know will benefit because of the achievements of so many folks in business and in the communities across the borough, really. So I'm thrilled that I had this chance.
No, I think this talk that there is, in fact, a borough presidents have no power is a lot of baloney, because you have proven that has. What do you take on that?
Well, first off, it is true the borough presidents do not have a lot of power. They gutted this position during the last charter revision, not the last one, the one before that. It is my hope.
Which piece of it?
Because there's very little governance role for a borough president to impact either a mayor or a speaker of the city. The only effective, what should be done in the future, a future charter revision, to give borough presidents a greater role in the governance of New York City, greater land use issues, and a budget that's independent from the mayor and a speaker. I think that's very important, because you want the borough president. It's sort of like between a little city council district and a whole big metropolis called NYC. You need someone somewhere in the middle there that can focus in on a whole level, and a borough president is uniquely situated to be able to do that, but they need independence. They need their own budget. That is, like I said, not at the whims. If the mayor doesn't like me, he slashes the budget. If the speaker, for some reason, doesn't like me, he or she can slash. It has to be an independent budget and a greater role in land use and in other decisions, not taking away the mayoral powers, but there has to be a greater role. That will really make New York City government even more effective than it is today.
You know, one of the mayoral candidates suggested that a deputy mayor be appointed for each of the boroughs.
Yes. Well,
how does that compare to what, what's the problem?
Whoever that mayoral candidate is, I'll work twice as hard to defeat that person. Because
Tell me why.
Well, because you need independent voices elected. You cannot leave the future of New York City to the bureaucrats. You cannot. It must be those that can be held responsible by the public. And a borough president, a city council member, is responsible by the electorate. A bureaucrat reports to no one except to his superior or her superior, and then ultimately to a mayor. And we shouldn't make government in New York City purely mayoral driven. There has to be some checks and balances, voices to be heard, and folks that have some real role in government, not just on the city council level, but somewhere midway between that and the whole city. And there's where a borough president fits in beautifully. Independent voice, independent with the greatest say on what goes on in their borough. But having said that, from lemons, I made lemonade. I did the best I could. I worked as best I could with Mayor Bloomberg. I learned early on as Claire Schulman. She was a role model in some way, and that is, if you go against the mayor, you may get a few inches in one of these tabloids, but ultimately, you're hurting the people you want to serve. So the thing is that you've got to try your best to pick your fights carefully and to work with the mayor. And as far as I'm concerned, I've had that relationship with Mayor Bloomberg. Whatever Brooklyn's accomplished could never been achieved if the mayor wasn't behind it. It's true, by the way, because that's how powerful a mayor is. Any mayor, Giuliani or Koch or Dinkins or Koch of blessed memory, or our current mayor, Michael Bloomberg. So that's the position that borough presidents are in, and I think you can use the position effectively, but I hope there'll be some positive in the future.
Well, you have a legacy that is, extraordinary. I mean, everybody's jealous. But they want to be as sexy as Brooklyn now.
Well,
and I think that's, that's because of what you did and what your beautiful wife has supported you in doing.
Thank you.
Is there one thing, 1 minute, that you want to make sure people know about the legacy that you've left?
Well, I don't look upon it as a legacy. I made a major promise, and that promise was that Brooklyn will never be in the shadows of any other place in America. And that's been achieved. I think everyone knows Brooklyn, not just America, but throughout the world. And Brooklyn is such a unique place with such diversity of ethnic and incomes and religions and nationalities. And I can't begin what an exciting place Brooklyn is to live. It's really how Brooklyn is today, America will be tomorrow. I really believe that, by the way. And I think we're studying the trends for the future of America right here in Brooklyn. And I made my contributions, just like Michael Howard Golden made his contributions, and before him, Sebastian
Nobody
Leone.
made as sexy as you.
And the next borough president will make their contributions, and so we go on and on and on.
Well, I think that we can all be proud that you were our borough president, making it better.
And thank you for being your borough president and being part of your lives for 35 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Marty. To many years.
Be part of your life.
Well done. Well chosen. Very good. Thank you.